Welcome to the What's Next online information session. Deans Michael Mason and Lynmarie Hamel are back to preview the SAGE's first seminar selection process, discuss academic advising, and new student orientation, in addition to answering your questions. I'm Nancy Dilulio from the Office of Undergraduate Studies and will be taking your questions. Please send your questions to summerreghelp@case.edu, and we will answer your questions live on air. If we don't get to your question on air, we will follow up with you shortly. And now to your hosts, Dean Mason and Dean Hamel.
Good evening, and thanks for joining us this evening on what is the final of our online information session. So we're happy that you could be with us. And just want to say thanks for being here with us tonight, because we do have a lot to cover. As you know, since the last time you saw us here a little over a week ago, a lot's happened. You've all registered for your fall semester classes, and so now that you've taken that step towards just one step closer to your first semester here at the university, we've got about a little over a month until you're here on campus, and so there are some things that we want you to think about between now and then, and also some questions that have come up, some newer questions, some questions that have been kind of coming up, but in different forms now that we've actually gone through the registration process. So we want to have a chance to address some of those common threads with you tonight, and of course, as always, take your questions, hear what's on your mind, and have an opportunity to address those for you. So I want to go through a quick overview of what we're going to talk about tonight. We'll start out by just kind of reviewing a timeline of what's going to be happening. We'll talk about the schedule review process, which is underway right now. Then we'll get into information about first seminar registration and selection, about the status of permission requests that some of you may have made during the registration process. Talk a little bit about physical education courses, the requirements, and kind of how that all fits into your fall and beyond as far as scheduling goes. We'll talk about the process for schedule changes. So if there's anything that you need to do between when you get here in the fall and when you get back during those first 2 weeks of the drop add period, we'll kind of go through that process with you and show you how to do that. We'll talk about the first 2 weeks of classes, what you can kind of expect. The textbook situation. So as you're thinking about classes, now at this point you're probably thinking about, okay, what books am I going to need? How am I going to figure that out? Where am I going to get them? We'll cover that for you. And then we'll finish up talking a little bit about the Common Reading Program, the book that we're going to be all reading as a campus community here for the fall. And then finish up kind of leading into new student orientation and what you can expect with that program. And of course, as always, we're here to take your questions. So be thinking of those along the way, and you can start sending them into summerreghelp@case.edu at any point. So moving ahead, I'd like to talk about some of the important dates that are coming up. So what we have coming up, well, actually what's happening right now is the schedule review process. So now that you've all registered for your classes, Dean Hamel and I are actually, as well as some other deans in our office, we're actually going through each of your schedules one by one. And we're looking at those. We're just kind of looking for some things, that we might need to follow up with you about, and Dean Hamel will talk more about that here in just a few minutes. Once those are all completed, we'll lead into the SAGE's first seminar selection, which I'll talk about here in a few moments. Then about mid-August is when orientation kicks off, and so international students will be arriving and starting orientation on August the 16th. On August the 19th, we'll actually have new student orientation. That's also the beginning of parent orientation. On the 21st, which is that Tuesday of orientation week, is when you'll actually meet your SAGE's first seminar class and your advisor. And finally, Wednesday through Friday of that week, you will be meeting with your SAGE's first seminar advisor individually. And again, all these topics we're going to cover in a little bit more detail here in just a few moments. So I'm going to turn it over to Dean Hamel, who's going to talk to you about the schedule review process and the timeline for that right now.
Great. Thanks. Again, welcome. This is the last of our webinars, as Michael mentioned, so we're glad to get through them. I hope you found them to be useful, and hope you find the one today to be helpful as well. Talk a little bit about the schedule review timeline. As Michael mentioned, we are under the Undergraduate Studies Office is currently reviewing all of the schedules, and we'll contact you if we have any concerns. And For the most part, as we're looking through them, schedules look really good. We will have them all completed by July 27th, and there's a couple of ways we'll let you know when they're completed. When everything's completed and approved, on your new student checklist, you'll see that there's a space that says that your schedule has been approved. If there are things that we need to follow up with you on, we will be emailing you or trying to contact you. So we really hope that you will be checking your email frequently in case there's any questions that we need to have responses to, if we need to switch sections or drop classes and so forth. So we ask that you kind of really pay attention to your email and get back to us so we can get all of your schedules reviewed and done by July 27th. And this is just, if we kind of go to the slide, we just wanted to show you where you'll be able to find out once your schedule is approved. This is the status will be updated after your schedule is reviewed by undergraduate studies, and we will put something there if it's approved or if we need to have some more information. So again, keep checking your checklist for any updates on your schedule.
So SAGE's first seminar, it's a really, I think one of the most, unique facets of your first year and even your entire education here at Case. It's a really exciting opportunity because the first seminar courses are designed to be small. 17 students in a class with a faculty member. The topics are really unique and interesting. They're all kind of interdisciplinary in nature, so they bring in kind of ideas and knowledge and topics from across the spectrum of different areas of educational academic areas, which is really cool. The goal of these is to kind of get you started in the process of becoming well-developed as a scholar and as a community member here at the university. So you'll engage in a lot of discussions in your class, a lot of activities. There's a focus in the course on writing, so your writing skills will definitely be challenged and developed through this course. And it kind of sets the stage for future seminar coursework that you'll go through in university seminars, into your department seminar later on, and then eventually into your senior capstone. So it's a really neat opportunity and experience. I think it's one of the things that makes your first semester here at Case really just, that much better, because you have the opportunity to get to know the students in your class really well, the faculty member who's teaching your class very well, who's also your advisor. So definitely something to be excited about. And so the process of, determining which of those first seminars you'll get into is a big part of what you need to get taken care of before you arrive here in the fall. So the way it works essentially is that once you've got your schedule complete for the most part, which is kind of the process that you've already been through, you go through, you kind of look at the requirements or recommended courses for your major, and then you select based on that. We review your schedule, and then once we've kind of determined it's where it needs to be, then you will get contacted by the SAGE's office. And so they'll send you an email and they'll direct you to a website that you'll actually go through, and you'll be instructed to look through a list of first seminar courses that are available to you based on your existing schedule. So everything that you're going to see is going to be something that will fit with what's already on your schedule. And you'll have the opportunity to read through all the descriptions of those first seminars that are available to you, and from there indicate 4 of those that you'd be most interested in taking in the fall. And so I think one thing to note when you're thinking about how you're going to approach this is that you really want to make sure to read all the descriptions of the courses thoroughly. You will, when you look at the list of courses, get to see the dates and the times that they're being offered. And that's something to look at, but I think the main thing is to really kind of focus in on, what is this course about? Is it something that's interesting to me? Is it something that I can see myself, getting excited about, getting passionate about, wanting to participate in learning more about? And it may be something, it's not really necessarily designed to be, complementary to any particular major. Like I said, they're more interdisciplinary. So it should be something that maybe you know nothing about, but you're like, oh, that sounds really cool. I want to try that out. So just be intentional when you're looking through the different seminar descriptions and trying to make those selections. So I want to just show you real quickly a screenshot of kind of what you could expect to see when you get that email that's directing you to go to the site and take a look at the first seminars. It's kind of hard to see with this size of a screenshot, but basically what you can kind of ascertain from this is that it does list all the different seminars. It's going to list, course descriptions, so and days and times, and from there you just kind of indicate which ones you'd be most interested in taking. So the other thing that I think is really cool and really neat about the whole, Sage's First Seminar concept is, like I mentioned before, your first seminar instructor is also going to be your first year advisor. So this person, this faculty member, you will get to know very well because you'll be interacting with them inside the classroom, and they'll get to know you really well. And the benefit of that is it really kind of enhances the advising relationship that you'll develop, because as your first year advisor, this is going to be the person that you are going to when you want to explore different academic areas. You want to kind of talk about where your interests are, your goals, and how all those things kind of match to what's out there. You want to get involved in campus life. You have questions about different academic policies. Get connected with different resources. Your first year advisor is going to be that go-to person for you for at least the first semester that you're here, and possibly beyond that, depending on when you decide to declare your major. But you'll actually get started with that process of getting to know your first seminar advisor when you are at new student orientation. So that Tuesday of new student orientation, you'll actually, during the lunchtime meeting, have a chance to sit down with not just your first seminar instructor, but also the other students that are in your first seminar course. And you'll share a meal, and you'll kind of get an overview of what the class is all about, have an opportunity to get to know each other, kind of start building that community in your first seminar course, and also have the opportunity to ask any general kind of advising questions that you might have. The other thing that's going to happen during this meeting is that you're going to set up an individual appointment that'll happen later in the week. So Wednesday through Friday, there'll be some individual appointments that you will have with your first year advisor on either that Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. There's times blocked out on the orientation schedule to facilitate these. And this will be an opportunity for you to, if you need to, talk about your schedule. By that point, most of the schedule has been, kind of put into place, so you may not have really many questions about that, but maybe you just want to talk more about, again, kind of your interests, your general questions. Just start to get to know each other, because the more you get to know your advisor, the more your advisor gets to know you, the better relationship you'll have, the more kind of productive that relationship will be. So this will be a really good opportunity to get that going. So like I mentioned, your first seminar course, you'll have scheduled by the time you arrive here on campus. And when you look at the different first seminars available to you, you'll notice that they're all at different times. What you've seen on your schedule up to this point was a kind of a time block on Monday and Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:45. And we kind of talked about this in the previous webinar, and I'll talk about it again, but this is the time that was blocked out for your fourth hour activities. So fourth hour activity is going to happen on either Monday or Wednesday from 12:30 to 1:45. It's not going to be both days. So either be Monday or Wednesday. It's up to your instructor to decide which of those days they're going to use. But that'll be in addition to your regular meeting time. So you may have a first seminar that meets, say, Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30 to 9:20, or possibly Tuesday, Thursday from 2:45 to 4. And then your fourth hour will be an additional meeting on top of that, like I said, on either the Monday or the Wednesday, not both of them. And what is fourth hour? People ask that a lot. And fourth hour is really an opportunity for you and your fellow classmates, as well as your instructor, to engage in different types of activities that kind of complement what you're doing inside the classroom. So this is an opportunity to visit different university circle establishments. You may go to a museum, you may go to a performance at, say, Severance Hall. You could, view films, you could have discussions, different kinds of activities, go see a speaker or a seminar or something like that. It really varies, and it's going to be unique to each of the different first seminar courses. But this will be a time that, again, you'll kind of use on a pretty regular basis, and that's why we have that blocked out in your schedule right now, because we want to make sure that you don't schedule any classes during that time, because you need to be available for your first seminar. So if you look at your schedule right now, you'll see it's on there. See what it says, the FSCC 850. That's where your fourth hour is blocked right now. If you look under the academics tab, you'll see that it's listed as a 4 credit hour course, just with the same value or similar as other courses, with a value of credit hours attached to it, because once you actually are enrolled in a first seminar, your first seminar will show up on your schedule in place of this FSCC 850 as a 4-credit-hour course, but this is just meant to kind of reserve that space in your schedule for the time being. So that basically covers the first seminar process. I'm going to turn it back over to Dean Hamel to talk to you a little bit more about permissions for closed courses and where we are with that process.
Thanks. We are still working on the permissions and closed course requests. So if you haven't heard anything yet, don't worry, we're still working through that. I know we've been getting some emails saying, okay, what's going on with those. Again, we are reviewing them. Requests for alternative sections or, I don't like this time block, I wanted to get into that time block, are a little harder to accommodate. We may not be able to accommodate all of those courses, but those are only for people who are currently registered in another section of a class. And sometimes it's just not possible to get into one. For example, if it's a lab course, there's only so many lab spaces and equipment in an individual lab. So it's really difficult for us to get you to override into a class. However, if it's a required course that you're trying to get into, we will do we expect to be able to accommodate all those classes. Be patient with us. We are working through them. I know I was emailing people again today, asking, telling we were able to get into the, a course. Do you still want to get into it? Because some people have come back to us and said, I chose an alternate course. I really don't want to get into that course any longer. I'll take it another semester. So we really ask that you check your email frequently and get back to us as to whether you want to add the course that we're working with or you're fine with your current schedule. Let me see, what else we're doing. You'll have opportunities still to make adjustments to your schedule during the add-drop period, which is from August 27th to September 7th. And the add-drop period is usually the first 2 weeks of classes. So if there is a course that is, like you just want an alternate section, or if it's ed course that you really want to get into, people are going to be changing their schedules during those 2 weeks. So you just need to check SIS periodically, and if you see that something's open, you'll be able to make changes at that point. But right now, you're not able to make any more changes to your schedules. Where Michael and I are actually the only ones that are able to make any changes to your schedule at this particular point. So this is so that's kind of just an overview of where we are with our permissioned and closed course requests. If you have any questions or you forgot to send something in, you can still take them, submit them at summerreghelp@case.edu, and we'll be responding to those requests as well. Physical education courses. This has probably been our most top flyer email. We've gotten lots of questions about physical education courses. There's tons and tons of courses out there, and I know a lot of them have been full. And we do encourage students to try and take them first semester, but you really don't need to take it. It's okay if you're not in a first semester phys ed course. Again, during the add-drop period that I mentioned previously, spots may become available as people's schedules change, so you can add and drop it during the add-drop period. It is a graduation requirement, so you don't want to wait until your last semester of undergraduate and trying to get them all in at once. But it's not necessary that you get one in this semester. And we ask that you don't prioritize a phys ed course over a required course. Again, if it's a course required for your major, we think it's much more important to take that class at this particular time and work on getting your phys ed class in at a later date. Varsity athletes, you need to make sure that you register for your phys ed course. I mean, in order to get credit for it, you do need to be registered. So we do encourage you to do that. If you have a fall sport, then you can do it now. If you have a spring sport, then you don't need to register obviously until the spring semester. But we really encourage you to do that because you don't your participation on the team will count as a semester of phys ed only if you register for the course. So varsity athletes, please, please, please register for those courses. There is a 2-semester requirement for phys ed, and we have different types of courses out there. There are a few courses that are full semester phys ed courses. There are some that are first half courses and second half courses. You say, well, how do I tell the difference? If you're looking at a phys ed course that has a number and an A after it, that's a first half course. And those will meet from the first day of classes up through fall break, so until mid of October. And classes that have a B at the end of it are the second half courses. And those are only half semester courses. Again, those will start on October 24th and go towards finish up at the end of the semester. So between all those, you need to get to 2 full semesters. So some people may take 2 full semester courses. They may take a couple of first half courses this semester and second half courses, but you do need to get to 2 full semester courses. And there's also some courses that are, they have to be 0 credit hour courses that you fulfill your graduation requirement. Some people have asked that they've seen some phys ed upper, like 300 level courses, and those are actually courses for our sports medicine minor. So those are not going to fulfill your physical education requirements. They need to be the courses that are 0 credit hours. And there's some courses that you'll see that are listed for 0 or 1. For example, Spartan Marching Band. If you are in the marching band, you can't take that as a semester of your phys ed requirement as long as you take it for 0 credit hours. There's a wellness class that's out there that's listed as 0 credit hours and 1 credit hour. So if you do want to use these phys ed courses, they do need to be 0 credit hour courses. And the other thing that you can, that people get concerned or confused about sometimes is you can't usually repeat courses. For example, if you take Math 121 this semester, you can't take it again next semester without losing credit for the first one. However, if you really, really, really like jogging, and that's what you want to do for all of your phys ed courses, you can take jogging first half, jogging second half of the semester, and the next semester do the same thing. So the phys ed courses can be repeated if you find something that you really like. So hopefully that answers some of the questions that we've been getting. But as I said, phys ed has been one of our frequent flyer questions on the Summer Reg Help. So if you do have questions after this, you can still send them in. But hopefully that answers a lot of the questions we've been getting.
So as you know, the registration period has concluded. So as of midnight, or actually 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th, if you've tried to get back onto SIS since then, you can still get onto SIS, but you noticed you can't make any changes to your schedule. So you're probably asking yourself, well, what if I need to make changes to my schedule? What can I do? There's a couple of different options that you have depending on the nature of the change that you need to make. So if we're talking about just what we would consider to be kind of a minor change, so you are in a section of a particular course and you would prefer to be in another section of that course that meets at a different time, we would ask that you wait until you get back on campus during the drop add period to take care of that sort of thing. Same thing goes for if you just want to drop a class and maybe add a phys ed course or add a musical ensemble. Those kind of things we don't really necessarily need to worry about right at this moment. You can take care of that when you get here. However, if you have some changes that you'd like to make that are, I guess, what we would consider to be a little bit larger in scale or a little bit larger in impact. Let's say you're originally last week you registered as if you were going to be a biomedical engineer, and then all of a sudden you've had this epiphany and now you want to be a nursing major. We need to know about that, because if it's going to be something that would significantly alter your schedule, we want to get that change made and in place before we go through the entire process of assigning you, or I should say, getting you set for a SAGES First seminar. So kind of depending on the nature of the request, it will kind of guide you as far as whether you should wait or whether it's something you need to bring to our attention. But regardless, you won't be able to do it yourself. If you do have some changes that absolutely need to be made at this point, definitely get in touch with us. Email summerreghelp@case.edu. If at all possible, by the 27th of July, because that's when we're finishing up our reviews of the schedules, and then we're kind of passing that information along to the SAGES office so they can get started on their process for getting you into a SAGES First seminar. The thing to keep in mind about the drop add period, as Dean Hamel mentioned and as I kind of mentioned as well, it does take place during, well, it starts on that first day of classes, Monday the 27th. It runs through Friday, September 7th. The one thing that's unique for incoming first-year students is that your drop add period will start a few days before that. So actually during the new student orientation week, once you've met with your first-year advisor and discussed any potential changes that you wish to make, then you'd have access at that point to begin drop and add if necessary. So the other thing I wanted to mention about drop add is that it does last for 2 weeks. So you have them to that second Friday of classes to make any final adjustments to your schedule. But we really encourage you to try to make decisions about adding courses by the end of that first week. And the reason we say that is just because, with the pace at which courses move, even, missing 1 week of class and kind of picking up from that point is usually manageable, but going much longer than that could be a little bit challenging. And so just to give yourself and put yourself in the best position possible, you'd probably want to make any final decisions about adding any courses during that first week as much as you can. If you need to do it up through the second week, we can do that, and certainly would not stop you from doing that. But we just want to kind of throw that out there as something to consider as you're making those decisions. And so again, through the second Friday, you'd have the opportunity to drop and add courses. So this is something we can definitely help you with if you need any help. So going along with that, during new student orientation, there's going to be a couple different opportunities that may, again, kind of impact the finalization of your schedule. And this would be in addition to the meetings that you have with your first seminar advisor, because obviously those discussions may lead to some different decisions about courses. But there's proficiency examinations that are offered during new student orientation. So Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, there's opportunities to take proficiency exams for chemistry, math, physics, and computer science. And these exams actually allow you to earn course credit. So for example, if let's say you took a course while you were in high school, and it was a course that was offered through a post-secondary program in chemistry, but for some reason you didn't earn credit for chemistry 105 here. You could actually sit for the proficiency exam in Chemistry 105 during orientation, and if you pass that proficiency exam, you'd actually be awarded credit for Chem 105 and then be able to move into Chem 106. So that goes for, again, like I said, math, physics, and computer science as well. There's more information about this in the FYI guide. So if you look on page 59, you'll see the different proficiency exams that are offered and how you go about registering yourself for one of those exams if that's something that you'd be interested in doing. The other thing that will take place during orientation that could be impacting final decisions about courses is that from 1 to 3 o'clock that Friday, we'll have a special placement and schedule assistance opportunity for students where we'll have representatives from the math department, the chemistry department, the physics department, and from SAGES available to meet with you individually if you have specific questions about your placement in any of those courses and you feel like you need some additional advice or some additional assistance to kind of make those last minute decisions and finalize your schedule before the start of classes. So I'm going to turn it back over to Dean Hamel, and she's going to talk to you about what's going to happen during the first couple weeks of the semester.
During the first 2 weeks of courses we're looking at, there's some things that we think would be really helpful to help you to be successful in your classes. The first thing is introduce yourself to all of your professors. I know sometimes people get really intimidated when I talk to students throughout the semester and they're like, oh, I've never talked to my faculty member, or I didn't know what to say. So the first 2 weeks is a really good time. Just after class, walk up to them and either introduce yourself, tell them, talk to them a little bit about, or go to their office hours also. They'll all have office hours, posted on their syllabus, and they love to have students come and visit them, and not many students do. But use that first 2 weeks to go introduce yourself, go to their office hours, find out where their office is. Tell them if you're a little concerned about the class. Maybe you've been sitting in class and like, oh, this seems a little beyond what I thought, or maybe you're really excited about the material that you're covering in class. But go and have that first conversation, and just start making that relationship with the professor, because it may lead to some opportunities down the road, or it may make it easier if you do end up struggling a little bit in a class or have questions to have already met the faculty member and have talked to them and have kind of started that relationship. So we really encourage you to talk to your professors that first week. Or the first 2 weeks of classes. The other things you want to do during the 2 weeks of classes we've talked about is the add-drop period. Again, it's the first 2 weeks. It's a good time to kind of try out some classes, see which ones you really want to be in. You can look at the syllabus, look at the due dates that are on there and see how that's going to fit with the other classes that you're taking. If you think your load is going to be too much at that time because you may be an athlete and it's going to conflict with something, or you may be working. So kind of look and see how all of those courses will kind of work out for you. And as Michael said earlier, you can drop and add classes during the add drop period. Dropping up to the second week is not as big a deal, but adding we really encourage you to do it during that first week of class. You don't want to get behind by 2 weeks. you really need to be engaged in classes, the whole time that you're there. So missing 2 weeks would make it, a little bit more difficult. And you may have missed work at that particular point, graded work that goes towards your grades. And so it's really important to try to get your schedule solidified and work through those first 2 weeks of classes. But if we do need to drop a course or add a course during the 2 weeks, we can totally work with you to do that as well. And the other thing you should do is have your textbooks. I'm always amazed at how many people come in and say, oh, I don't have my textbooks yet. So we're going to talk a little bit about later about how to get your textbooks, when you should get them and use them. People say, oh, I have them, but I haven't looked at them yet. So they're really, they're not that helpful if they're your doorstop, basically. So you really need to, look at your books and start, working through, using the textbooks and staying on top of things, right from the beginning. And if you get off on the right foot those first 2 weeks of classes, I think it really sets the tone for a successful rest of the semester. And I think Michael's going to talk a little bit now about how to get your textbooks.
So there's multiple ways that you could go about getting textbooks. But one of the ways that we've kind of, I guess one of the paths that you could take that we've kind of set up for you is through the new student checklist. So if you look at the screenshot here, you can see that under the academic advising and registration area of the checklist, one of the items here is textbook ordering. So once you've got your schedule pretty much where you need it to be, and even at this point, even though you haven't had your first seminar added to your schedule yet, you can still go on to the checklist here and take a look at the different tools that are available to you to help you discover which textbooks you need for your courses. So at this point, you could assume that a lot of them will probably have the textbooks already set. There may be a course or two that you're looking at where they're still making final decisions about the textbooks, but if that's the case, it'll probably be taken care of sometime in the very near future. So this is a tool that you can use to identify which courses which textbooks you're going to need. And when you look through the list, you'll see some required, some recommended. You can follow up with the professor to kind of learn more about how those are going to be used in the course later on. But if you look at page 53 of the FYI guide, you'll find in there that there's a pretty good rundown on basically what you need to be considering when you're thinking about ordering and purchasing textbooks, reserving, and should I rent a textbook? Should I use an electronic version? All those kind of considerations are laid out for you in the FYI guide. So if you hadn't had a chance to look at that yet, I think now would be a good time to start planning ahead because, like I said before, just about a month from now, we're going to be back here on campus and getting ready to get rolling. So definitely want to start looking ahead to that at this point. Now, Dean Hamel is going to talk to you a little bit about the Common Reading program.
The Common Reading program is really exciting. We choose books every year that people enjoy reading or have some really good social context to them. The orientation office should have sent your books out in the last couple of days. So if you haven't received your book yet, you should be receiving it shortly. And it's called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind. And we do ask that you really read the book and be prepared to discuss the book when you come on campus, because there are some sessions during orientation where you will be discussing it with other people in your orientation group. But there's also some fun things that go with it. The author will be here on campus on August 29th for convocation, so you'll get to not only read the book, but actually see him, potentially ask him questions. And along with the Common Reading program, there's an essay contest that we have, and the essay contest, the winner of the essay contest will, about the book, will win a $300 gift certificate to the university bookstore, and that will definitely help in the purchase of books or case sweatshirts, t-shirts, and other types of things that you may want to get at the bookstore. And you'll also, the winner of the contest will be invited to have dinner with the author as well. So it's a really good program in general. The books are always very interesting, and it's kind of the theme for the semester, or for the year actually. We'll have some other seminars and speakers and programs throughout the year, kind of tying into the theme of the Boy Who Harnessed the Wind book. So we really encourage you to read it. I said you haven't gotten it yet. They just went out this week, so some of you may have it by now. If not, be patient. You should be getting it in the mail soon, and you put that on your summer reading list, so you'll be all set when you're in the next. I guess you have a month to read it. I guess we just talked about a month to kind of get through the book. So. Michael's going to talk a little bit about orientation and what to expect, and then we'll start taking some questions. So if you haven't already sent in your questions to summerreghelp@case.edu, you can start sending them in soon.
So I'm just going to wrap up real quick with our kind of formal organized portion of the info session tonight by just mentioning new student orientation. So like I said in the beginning, International Student Orientation kicks off on the 16th of August, followed by new student orientation and parent orientation on the 19th. If you go to case.edu/new students, you can navigate to the page that's case.edu/new students/orientation information, where you can see a complete schedule for orientation week. And you'll notice that there are a lot of really exciting activities that are going to be happening during that week. So orientation's a really fun time. It's a really exciting time too, because you're on campus for the first time with all your other classmates. Everyone's real excited to be back. All the upperclassmen that are back on campus, the faculty and the staff, we're all excited that the students are back. There's just this kind of energy and excitement that's going around, and so orientation kind of captures all that. But along with all that excitement and energy, it also provides you with some really good, guided information about things you need to be aware of as you start your career here at Case Western Reserve University. So take an opportunity to kind of browse through those different programs. You'll notice some of them are kind of required, mandatory programs that everyone will attend. Later in the week, you'll notice that there's some what we call conference-style programming, basically opportunities for you to choose different programs to go to based on what you're interested in learning more about. And there's a little something for everyone out there. So take the time to look through it. Hopefully it gets you excited. It may get you to ask some other questions. We're here. I know the orientation office is available at orientation@case.edu if you have questions about orientation. There's a downloadable schedule, so you can actually get the schedule for orientation on your smartphone. You can print a schedule, but again, it's just a really fun time. You're really going to love it. I guarantee it. It'll really set the tone for a great semester and a great four years here at the university. So with that said, I think what we'll do now is just take the opportunity to find out what's on your mind tonight, what you want to know more about. So take your questions. So. Dean Dilulio, take it away.
Great, thanks. You guys have given us a lot of really important, useful information. So we have a question that's come in by email, and it's about permissions. And I know you've talked a little bit about those permission requests already. Mm-hmm. And this one is specifically about permissions for music ensembles that are going to require auditions in the fall. Mm-hmm. So this is from Evan. Will he register for those ensembles now, or will he wait until he gets on campus, does the audition, and then register for those music ensembles?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, basically, you'll wait till you get here on campus to register for those. The courses, excuse me, if you go to the music website, if you just go to the Case website and you search for the Department of Music, they've done a really nice job of putting together a site that addresses information for incoming students. And so there's some FAQs on there about academics and about ensembles. And it'll tell you more about the ensemble process and about anybody who's interested in taking lessons or things like that. But with the courses, because you're going to have to audition first, you can just register for those later when you get here on campus during that drop ad period, depending on if it's a gateway audition or if it's a placement audition, where you kind of fall in and kind of make the adjustment to your schedule at that point.
Right. And I just want to follow up with that. Hopefully people see permissions on there, that they're not shy away from it. Some of them are just auditions to see. They let everybody in, but it's like where, are you the third clarinet or the first clarinet? So it's more like where you're going to be in the different ensembles. Some of them really are, you do need to audition for them. So that's something that you can do while you're here, but please don't be, scared off by the audition permission part of it, because it's really just, where you're going to be in that ensemble.
Right.
Great, thanks. I have a question that's come in for a student about housing. And this student wants to know, when should people who did not pick out a specific roommate receive information about housing and roommate selection?
We can give some general information, but they might want to check with the housing office specifically. But my understanding is in the next week or so, people who don't already have room assignments will be notified about assignments and roommates and so forth. So if you do have an assignment, you should be able to see that on your checklist. But within the next week, you should be getting more information from the housing office. And if you don't, I encourage you to email them at housing.case.edu, and they'll be able to give you a more specific timeline as to when that information should be available.
Great, thanks. I have a question from a student who's enrolled in 12 credit hours of classes, and that includes their first seminar class, and they're kind of concerned. Is that enough credits for this first semester?
Well, technically that is enough credits if you're talking about the threshold for being considered a full-time student. 12 hours is the minimum there. What you might find, though, is that if it's 12 hours, I mean, it really kind of depends on the composition of your schedule and your own comfort level. If you're at 12 hours right now and you're interested in adding another course to the schedule, you can let us know about that. We can look into that for you. Or it's something that you could also take, you could talk about with your advisor when you get here during orientation and think about whether or not that's something you'd like to try to do. So again, 12 is enough. You may find that you would like to add another one, and if that's the case, we can help you out with that. But yeah, technically it does make you a full-time student. So we recommend 14 to 17 was kind of our targeted range, I guess you could say, but not necessarily everyone's going to fall into that category. So.
And just to add a little bit more to that, this is a good way to use the add-drop period. If you think 12 hours is enough, which it is fine, you can use the add-drop period to go to that class, an additional class that first week, or second week. See what it's like, see how much extra work it is, see how it fits into your schedule, and and that's kind of what the add-drop is for. So you can do that as well. And again, 12 hours is fine, and it is very individualized. Some people may be working, some people may be commuting and have don't think they can be on campus as much. The commuters do perfectly fine with more than 12 hours, but this is a way to kind of just feel out what's going to work best for you, and put your best foot forward that first semester here.
Okay, I have a different question, and this one is about the SAGE's first seminars. So what if I look through the SAGE's first seminars that fit my schedule, and I'm not interested in any of the courses offered? Can I delay until the spring semester to take my first seminar?
No, all first-year students in their first semester will take a first seminar. So that's not something you have the option to delay. But I can tell you that we have a lot of first seminars that are being offered in the fall. Again, because there's 17 student limits per those sections. I mean, we have a lot of different first seminars to choose from. So my guess is that when you look through that list, you're going to probably have a harder time figuring out, kind of paring down the 4 that you're really most interested in versus trying to find 4 that you are interested in, if that makes sense. I think you'll find there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of unique and fun and interesting topics that you'll probably want to explore. So that shouldn't be a problem for you. But yeah, you will need to take that in the fall. It's again kind of it's something that all first-year students will do in their first semester. It's part of the first-year experience.
Thanks. I have a question that's come in from Max, and Max would like to know, if you want to be in marching band for phys ed, do you have to audition or do you just sign up?
I think for marching band, it's just you just sign up. So you'll be able to sign up for the class and participate however in whatever instrument that you do. Yeah, it's just basically going into SIS and doing that. And I think they basically take everybody. So and it's great. We have a really good marching band. I've been watching it for many years while I've been here at Case. I go to a lot of the sporting events and I've seen it evolve. And we're excited about having another good season this year with the marching band.
Yeah, they also have a website, just to follow up on that. So if you went and searched for it, you'd be able to find out more information about the marching band. But that's one of those ensembles that there's an audition, but it's not whether or not you get in. It's just kind of where you fall in the order, depending on the instrument you play, kind of where you fit into the group. But to get it to count for phys ed, you just need to make sure it's for 0 instead of 1 credits, because there is an option to choose one or the other. And if you want it to count for phys ed, it's got to be 0.
Thanks. I have another question from a student who hasn't registered for classes yet, but is still planning to attend CASE. I can't go on SIS and register now. What should I do?
Well, we're glad you're coming, and we're glad that you've asked that question, because what you want to do is contact us, summeredgehelp@case.edu. We'll actually get you a course registration form that you'll need to fill out, sign, and either fax or email back to us, and we'll help get you registered. So if you haven't registered at this point, it's not too late. We're not going to keep you from registering just because you didn't go on SIS during that 12th through 17th period. So if you haven't registered at all, please contact us, and we'll certainly help you get set up for the fall semester, because we want you here. We're excited for you to be here joining us.
Okay, I have a different question. Back to those permission requests again. Will the information about those permission requests be sent to my CASE email or to the email address I indicated on the request form?
We've been using the email address that you put on the permission request form. On the schedule change request, you were given the option to indicate a preferred either email address or a phone number. So we're using that contact information. In some cases, in most cases, I believe when you went on to the actual site to fill it out, it should have defaulted to your CASE email. So most of you probably just entered that anyway. Hopefully you knew that was what was entered, but definitely check your CASE email first, because that's probably where those permission request emails are going to go, unless you indicated otherwise.
Thanks. I have another question about sort of course organization, the first 2 weeks of classes and so on. Do courses have websites where they post information? And how do I get that information? When can I get that information, and so on?
The courses will have, most courses, not all, will have websites with information about the course, how to contact the instructor's office hours, the syllabus, notes that they may be giving out during the semester, and that's actually called Blackboard. You'll automatically be added to the Blackboard site of the classes once you're registered in the class. I said most professors use it, but not all, and it's a really good resource that you should check in on a regular basis to get to get information from the faculty. Some people will post homework assignments there, or they'll post solution assignments or to different homework problems. So it's really important that you look at the Blackboard sites once you get into the class. And if for some reason you can't get onto Blackboard, make sure you talk to your instructor right at the beginning of class, so you can get on there and get all the relevant information for the class.
Thanks. I have another question about the course syllabus. When will I receive the course syllabus, and what information will I find there?
It's a good question. You should receive the course syllabus at least during the first day of class, that first week of class. I think sometimes faculty members have them available ahead of time, but it's usually during that first week of class. And there's lots of very important information that you'll find on the syllabus. First of all, you'll have your instructor's name and contact information, what their office hours are, their phone number, and a lot of information along those lines. And then the syllabus basically is an outline of what you'll be doing in the class for that semester. So it'll have, again, some can be much more detailed than others, but it'll have information on what you're covering in a certain week, when homework assignments due, when tests and things are. So you really want to make sure that you know, when the tests and exams are during a class. They could have information on what the reading, the books required, or sometimes I've seen additional readings. If people really like something in a course, they could have some additional readings that are listed. You'll find that there. People will talk about the academic integrity policy and what they expect in their class as far as academic integrity goes. So there's a lot of different information on the syllabus. So it's really important to get them all at the beginning of the year. Look and make sure you know when things are, and maybe even like having one place to write down when all of your exams and assignments and everything are due in one place, so you don't miss something on the syllabus. So do follow up and make sure you get one, because it'll have a lot of information for you on there.
I have another question about changing schedules. And the question is, if I need to change my schedule during the drop ad or after I meet my first seminar advisor, is there a form, or do I do it online?
You'll actually be able to do exactly what you did when you registered for courses last week and this week, which is just go on SIS and add yourself into a course. Again, if there's any kind of restrictions like, consent required or something like that, there's a different, you'll have to do the, it won't actually be the same permission request that we're using during the summer registration, but there'll be the permission request in SIS. But generally, it's something that you'll just take care of in SIS. The exception is in some cases, again, if there's permission required or something like that, you may have to have a form signed, but in general, it should be just something that you can take care of on SIS.
Great. I have a question that's come in from Slater. Slater is looking at the items on the new student checklist and sees things like SATCO registration, parent orientation, Crew Connect service day, and so on, and wants to know, are these all part of new student orientation, or are they separate events, and does he need to register for each of those?
Well, they're all part of orientation as a whole. Orientation will have, will be responsible for the new student orientation, parent orientation, international student orientation. So these are really specific other events that are happening within orientation, and some do require additional registration. I know the SATCOs I've been on campus for many years, and I've been to some really exciting SATCOs. Some of them have limited seating or limited availability. So if it is something that you're interested in going to, then you do need to register for, what SATCO's course that you want to go to. If parents are coming, again, all parents are welcome to orientation. There may be some events that require additional registration. So you just need to kind of look through and see if it's more, if they're trying to get a head count, or if there's limited seating, or if there's different sections that you have to go to. But, and if you have more specific questions about them, I'd really encourage him to talk with the orientation office for specifics if he needs more details on those. But a lot of times it's just registering for a specific event during orientation.
Thanks. I have another question about what happens on move-in. Do I move in on August 19th, and where do I go to do that?
Move-in's a very, very exciting day around here. I used to work in the Office of Housing, Residence Life, and Greek Life, so I'm very familiar with the move-in and the excitement that kind of comes with that. But August 19th from, I think it's 8 to 5 is when move-in will happen. You should be getting information directly from the housing office as to the specifics of it. But there's lots of people around to help you move in. You'll be able to, when you check in, you'll get your ID card, you'll get your key to your room, you'll get just some orientation information while you're there. You'll meet some of your residence life staff. So there's lots of things happening during move-in. Again, you'll be able to go and start unpacking. You might need some time to go and buy some things at the local stores. I know we used to give out maps on how to get to Walmart and Target and different places. And it's a time to get to meet your roommate and the other people on your floor. So it's a really fun time. We always hope that we have good weather. I've been through some, oh my God, please let it stop raining weathers, and oh my God, it's 110 degrees. But for the most part, we've had some really good weather, and we hope you work with all those things during move-in. But we will have there's tons of signs that's up on the streets to where you go to check in, where you can park. We have lots of faculty and staff and students around on campus to help people unload their cars and get things up to their room. So it's a really fun time because the excitement's starting to build with new people coming to campus and starting their life here at Case. So it's a fun time.
Thanks. I have one last question that's come in, and the question is, will I be able to contact my first seminar instructor, my first year advisor, by email once I'm registered for that course?
Yes, you will actually. But again, because the timeline for that, for the actual finalization of the placements will be probably sometime within that week before orientation starts, so sometime during the week of the 13th. You should see at some point the first seminar course show up on your schedule, and from there, yes, you would be able to, you'd know who the person was, and you'd be able to reach out to them. So you certainly are welcome to do that. So that'll happen, like I said, that week before orientation. Leading up to that time, as you have questions, of course, you still come to us, which undergraduate studies. summeredgehelp@case.edu. And we'll be here to help you as we kind of transition you from the summer process into becoming a official first year student, which is a really exciting time. So definitely continue to use this as a resource through this process. And since we're wrapped up with questions, I think we'll just touch on a few, again, important dates that are coming up and any final thoughts. So.
Yeah, we're going to bring up one more time on a slide with some of the important dates that are coming up. Again, as you know, we've been talking about, we're reviewing your schedules now, and we'll be getting back to you by the 27th if we have any questions about your schedule. Please look for the email from the SAGE's office in the beginning of August and respond back quickly so we can again finalize your schedule. We'll be happy, you'll be happy, and everyone will have know what they're going to be doing in August. So please look for those emails from the SAGE's office. Again, International Student Orientation on August 16th begins. August 19th, you can start moving into your residence halls and meeting your roommates and starting things here at CASE. The August 21st is the first day that you'll be able to meet with your SAGE's advisor and SAGE's instructor, and again start to meet the people in your seminar class, and you'll be able to make individual appointments or individual advising appointments and schedule changes from the 22nd to the 24th. And I do want to kind of follow up on what Michael said, where it's been an exciting process. I think you guys have gone, from registering and getting ready for classes and so forth. I mean, it can be fun, it can be exciting. I think people are a little stressed out and about getting ready for classes, but things are going really smoothly. And we're really looking forward to you being here. It's a really great place. I was here as a student myself, and obviously I enjoy it because I'm still here many years later. So you'll have a great time moving in and meeting the people and becoming part of the CASE community. First with your residential colleges, and getting to meet the people, your roommates and the people on your floor, and just really starting to explore the university and kind of connecting with everybody that's coming. So we're really looking forward to seeing you here. I can't believe it's in a month that you guys are actually going to be on campus. So I hope you're as excited as we are to get you here on campus and start everything, start your life here at CWRU.
Yeah, I think like Dean Hamel said, it is a really hugely amazing and exciting time that we're looking forward to sharing with you. That's why we're here, because we just love working with students and first year students especially, and so we're definitely excited to get to meet you. We've seen all these names coming across and schedules and emails and things. I'm looking forward to putting some faces with some names. So I will be around during orientation, so hope that you'll come by and say hello. If I don't see you right at the beginning of orientation, Office of Undergraduate Studies, you'll quickly become familiar with where we are in Sears Hall in 357. Definitely stop by, even if it's just to chat and say hi, because like I said, we're looking forward to meeting you and looking forward to, being a part of this experience for you over the next 4 years. So thanks for tuning in. This was our first series of online information sessions. It was a lot of fun. And this is our final one for the summer, so this will be the last time we get to interact in this medium. But again, thanks for watching. Thanks for sending in your questions. Continue to reach out as you need us. And we'll see you in 31 days.